Tae-ho Kim stood at the viewing port of his ship as it entered orbit around the small blue planet. Earth, they called it. A fitting name for a world covered mostly in water, he thought with mild amusement. After 50 years as a council ambassador, Tae-ho had seen hundreds of worlds, but something about this one made him uneasy. Ambassador, we've established standard orbit, his pilot reported. Scans confirm the energy signatures that brought us here. Tae-ho nodded, his four eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of thoughtfulness in his species. Prepare my shuttle. I will make contact as planned. The Galactic Council had existed for over 10,000 years, 17 advanced civilizations working together, sharing knowledge, maintaining peace. Tae-ho had served the Council faithfully, bringing new species into the fold when they reached the appropriate development stage. Humans should have been a simple assignment. The Council had detected unusual energy bursts from this system 3 months ago. The readings suggested early experiments with faster-than-light technology, typical for a species ready for first contact. But as Tae-ho's ship approached Earth, their sensors detected much more advanced energy signatures. Things that shouldn't be possible for a civilization at this stage. Ambassador, I must advise caution, said Min Seo, his security chief. These readings don't match our intelligence. The humans might be more dangerous than we expected. Tae-ho waved away her concerns. Every new species seems dangerous until we understand them. That's why we make contact, to guide them toward peaceful cooperation. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, cloaked to avoid detection. The Council had protocols for first contact. They would approach the planet's leaders privately, demonstrate their technology, and extend an invitation to join galactic society. Most species reacted with awe, then gratitude. Some showed fear before understanding, but all eventually recognized the benefits of Council membership. They landed in a remote area outside a city the humans called Washington. Tae-ho had studied human languages and cultures during the journey. They were diverse and fractious, organized into nation-states rather than a unified planetary government. This would complicate things, but the Council had experience with such arrangements. Maintain stealth systems, Tae-ho instructed as he prepared to disembark. I will make contact with their leaders and return shortly. But before he could open the shuttle door, the sensors chimed an alert. Ambassador, we're being scanned, Min Seo reported, her voice tight with surprise. The technology it's quantum-based. That's not possible. Tae-ho moved to the console. The readings were clear. Someone was using quantum scanning technology to examine their shuttle. Such technology should be centuries beyond human development. Open communications, he ordered. The view screen activated, showing a human female. She had dark hair pulled back from her face and wore a simple dark uniform with no visible rank or insignia. Greetings, Ambassador Tae-ho Kim, she said in perfect galactic standard. I am Director Gu Park of Earth's Contact Division. Welcome to our planet. We've been expecting you. Tae-ho felt all four of his hearts skip a beat. This was unprecedented. No species had ever detected a Council ship before formal contact. None had ever spoken their language before being taught. Director Park, he said carefully, it seems you have me at a disadvantage. She smiled. We've been observing Council activities in nearby systems for some time. When your ship entered our solar system, we thought it best to prepare. Would you prefer to continue this discussion at our facility? We have accommodations suitable for your physiology. 3 hours later, Tae-ho sat in a conference room that could have existed on any Council world. The air had been adjusted to match his home world. The gravity was precisely calibrated to his comfort. Even the lighting had been modified to suit his species' visual range. How is this possible? He asked finally, after Gu had given him a tour of their facility, a massive underground complex hidden beneath an unremarkable government building. Humans develop quickly, she replied simply. We didn't want to attract attention until we were ready, but it seems your Council detected our early experiments anyway. Early experiments? Director Park, you have technology here that some Council species don't possess. Quantum entanglement communication. Gravity manipulation. Is that a consciousness transfer unit? He pointed to a device in the medical bay they had passed. An early prototype, she admitted. Still in testing. Tae-ho's mind raced. Consciousness transfer was theoretical, even among the eldest Council races. How long has humanity been developing these technologies? Independently? About 50 years since we discovered the mathematical principles behind quantum field manipulation. Of course, we've had help. Help? From whom? There are no other spacefaring species in this sector. Jiu smiled but didn't answer. Ambassador, I'm sure you came here with an invitation for Earth to join your Galactic Council. While we appreciate the offer, we must respectfully decline at this time. Taiho blinked all four eyes simultaneously, a sign of shock. Decline? No species has ever declined Council membership. The benefits are enormous: protection, trade, technology exchange. We're aware of the benefits, Jiu said. We're also aware of the costs. Council membership comes with oversight, restrictions on development paths, limits on expansion. We prefer to develop at our own pace, and that's highly unusual, Taiho said carefully. The Council might view such independence as concerning. Is that a threat, Ambassador? No, merely an observation. Independent development can lead to dangers for the species and others around them. Jiu's expression remained pleasant but firm. We understand the risks. We've taken precautions. Taiho wanted to ask what precautions could possibly protect them from the combined might of 17 advanced civilizations, but diplomatic training held his tongue. Instead, he said, perhaps I could learn more about your society before making my report to the Council. It might help them understand your position. Of course, Jiu agreed. We've prepared information packets about our history, culture, and current development. We have nothing to hide. We simply wish to maintain our autonomy. When Taiho returned to his ship 3 days later, he was deeply troubled. He had toured human cities, studied their history, reviewed their scientific achievements. Everything suggested a species that should still be burning fossil fuels and fighting among themselves. Instead, they had clean fusion power, a united global defense system, and technology that rivaled Council standards in many areas. Most concerning was what they didn't show him. There were research facilities they politely declined to let him visit, references to discoveries they wouldn't elaborate on, and everywhere a quiet confidence that seemed misplaced for a species so young and isolated. Set course for Council space, he told his pilot. Maximum speed. You seem disturbed, Ambassador, Minseo observed as they broke orbit. Are the humans dangerous? I don't know, Taiho admitted. But they're certainly not what we expected. 2 weeks later, Taiho stood before the full Galactic Council in their grand chamber. Representatives from all 17 member species sat in tiered rings around the central speaking platform. Some appeared physically, others as highly detailed holograms from their homeworlds. Ambassador Kim, said High Counselor Minho, the eldest representative of the founding species. We have reviewed your preliminary report with great interest. These humans develop technology without proper foundation? Yes, High Counselor. They appear to have made several developmental leaps without the expected intermediary steps. Their quantum technology especially seems to have appeared almost overnight in their scientific history. Stolen, perhaps, suggested Counselor Yunjin of the Mercantile Alliance, her translucent form shimmering with suspicion. They claim independent development, but acknowledge having help from an unspecified source, Mateo replied. When pressed, they would not elaborate. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Council species shared all knowledge openly. Secrecy was considered primitive and dangerous, and they declined membership? Asked Counselor Junho, his insectoid mandibles clicking with agitation. No species has ever declined. They cited concerns about development restrictions, Taiho confirmed. They wish to maintain complete autonomy. High Counselor Minho's ancient face creased with concern. This is most unusual. A species with advanced technology, unknown origins for their knowledge, and a desire to remain outside Council oversight. The pattern is concerning. Taiho hesitated, then spoke carefully. If I may, High Counselor, the humans did not seem hostile, merely independent. Perhaps we could establish a monitoring relationship rather than full membership. Your recommendation is noted, Ambassador, Minho said, but the Council must consider the safety of all galactic species. History has shown that unregulated technological development leads to catastrophe. The Council debated for 3 days. Some members argued for patience, observing humanity from a distance. Others suggested immediate intervention, a show of force to demonstrate the benefits of cooperation. The most extreme voices called for containment, restricting humans to their home system until they accepted Council authority. In the end, They reached consensus on a formal invitation to join the council, but with conditions. Humanity would share all their technological innovations. 6 months after Ambassador Taiho's visit, the skies above Earth filled with ships. 17 massive vessels, each representing a different council species, formed a ring around the planet. They made no attempt to hide their presence. Television stations worldwide broadcast images of the alien fleet. People gathered in streets looking up at the strange lights that outshone the stars. High Counselor Minho stood on the command deck of the flagship, watching Earth rotate slowly beneath them. His species was among the oldest in the galaxy, with skin that had evolved to a pale, translucent blue over countless millennia. 4 slender arms emerged from his ceremonial robes as he gestured toward the planet. Such a small world to cause so much concern, he remarked to Taiho, who stood nearby. Have they responded to our arrival? Yes, High Counselor, Taiho replied. They've invited the delegation to their United Nations headquarters. It's their closest thing to a world government. Representatives from all their nations meet there. Minho nodded. Prepare the diplomatic shuttle. All 17 representatives will attend. We will make our offer impossible to refuse. On Earth, President Doyen Lee paced the floor of his office. As leader of one of Earth's most powerful nations, he had been chosen to represent humanity in this crucial meeting. Director Jiu Park stood nearby, reviewing data on a tablet. You've met this Ambassador Taiho, the president said. What should we expect from the full council? Jiu looked up from her screen. Based on our intelligence, they'll make a show of strength first. All the representatives together, displaying their advanced technology. Then they'll present their offer as a gift, membership in exchange for sharing our technology and accepting their oversight. And if we refuse? They've never faced refusal before, but historical data from other species suggests they'll escalate from diplomatic pressure to economic isolation, then possibly military action if they perceive us as a threat. The president stopped pacing. Are we a threat? Jiu's expression remained calm. Not in the way they think, but what we've discovered threatens their power structure. They just don't know it yet. The United Nations building had been prepared for the historic meeting. Security was tight, with the world's best soldiers and most advanced defensive systems hidden discreetly throughout the complex. In the General Assembly Hall, representatives from every nation on Earth waited nervously. The council delegation arrived with carefully choreographed precision. 17 beings of wildly different forms entered the hall, each accompanied by attendants carrying gifts. Some walked on legs, others floated, and a few moved on mechanical platforms. Their sizes ranged from smaller than a child to larger than a car. Despite their physical differences, they all carried themselves with the same air of ancient authority. High Counselor Minho stepped forward, his translator converting his speech into all Earth languages simultaneously. People of Earth, he began, his voice echoing through the hall. I stand before you as representative of the Galactic Council, a union of the 17 most advanced civilizations in this region of space. For 10,000 years we have maintained peace and fostered progress throughout the stars. He gestured to the other representatives. Today we extend to humanity a rare honor, an invitation to join our ranks. Your species has shown remarkable potential. With our guidance, you could achieve greatness beyond your imagination. President Lee stood to respond. High Counselor, representatives of the Galactic Council, humanity is honored by your visit. We look forward to peaceful relations between our worlds. Please tell us more about this invitation. What followed was a display of technology meant to awe the human audience. Each council representative presented gifts, medical devices that could cure any disease, energy sources that would never deplete, materials stronger than anything on Earth. Screens around the hall showed images of council worlds, gleaming cities, restored ecosystems, populations living in perfect harmony. After the presentations, High Counselor Minho outlined the terms. To join the council, humanity must agree to these conditions. First, all technological innovations must be shared with the council for evaluation. Second, Earth will accept oversight from senior council members to ensure safe development. Third, human expansion beyond your solar system will be limited to pre-approved star systems. He smiled, his translucent skin stretching. In return, you will receive protection from any threats, access to trade with all council worlds, and technological assistance to solve your remaining planetary problems. We offer you the wisdom gained from thousands of years of peaceful cooperation. Then came the deadline. The Council requires your answer within 1 Earth year. Should you decline, he paused. While we respect all sentient life, we must protect galactic stability. Isolation from interstellar society would be unfortunate for your species. The threat was clear beneath the diplomatic language. Join or be cut off, perhaps worse. When the Council delegation returned to their ships, Earth's leaders gathered in a secure room deep beneath the UN building. President Lee called for calm as voices rose in argument. We need time to consider their offer carefully, he said. I'm forming an international committee to study the Council and their true intentions. Dr. Sunwoo, Han will lead this effort. Dr. Han was Earth's leading xenoanthropologist, an expert in alien cultures and behavior patterns. She had spent the past 6 months studying the limited data available about the Council. We should be cautious, Dr. Han advised the assembled leaders. The Council's presentation was carefully crafted to impress us, but there are inconsistencies in their narrative. What inconsistencies? Asked a European leader. Their story of peaceful cooperation doesn't match the development patterns we've observed in species under their control. We've detected significant technological stagnation in most Council worlds after their first few centuries of membership. President Lee looked troubled. Are you suggesting they deliberately hold back their member species? I don't have enough data to prove it, Dr. Han replied. But I need to investigate further. My team will need access to all information from today's meeting, plus resources to analyze Council communication patterns. You have whatever you need, President Lee promised. We have 1 year to decide humanity's future. I want to know exactly what we're getting into. While official channels focused on diplomatic responses, another effort was underway far from public view. In a research facility hidden in the mountains, a young physicist named Yunji Kang reviewed unusual data readings. The energy signature doesn't match anything we've developed, she told her small team. It's not from the Council ships either. It's coming from somewhere on Earth. Her colleague looked confused. If it's not human and not Council, what is it? That's what we need to find out, Yunji said. Because whatever it is, it's what attracted the Council's attention in the first place. 3 months into the Council's 1-year deadline, Dr. Han's team made a disturbing discovery. They had been analyzing historical records provided by friendly contacts among the Council's newer member species. Look at this pattern, Dr. Han told President Lee, displaying a chart on the screen. Every species that joins the Council experiences an initial boom in development, followed by a plateau that lasts indefinitely. That could be natural, one advisor suggested. Maybe they reach the limits of possible technology. That's what I thought at first, Dr. Han replied. But the plateau always occurs at the same relative level, just below the development stage of the founding Council members. And any species that starts to break through that ceiling experiences accidents or natural disasters that set them back. President Lee studied the data grimly. You're saying the Council deliberately prevents member species from becoming too advanced? Yes. While never explicitly stated, it's clear they systematically maintain a power hierarchy with the founding members at the top. At the same time, Yunji Kang's research team had tracked the mysterious energy signature to Antarctica. Using specialized equipment, they pinpointed its source to an area deep beneath the ice. The signal is coming from approximately 2 kilometers down, Yunji reported to her superiors. It's not a natural formation. The energy pattern is too regular. Something is buried there. Within days, a secret international expedition was underway. The world's best drilling equipment was brought to Antarctica, disguised as a climate research project. As they dug deeper, their instruments detected a massive structure beneath the ice. Whatever this is, it predates human civilization, said the lead archaeologist. The ice layers above it are at least 50,000 years old. After weeks of careful excavation, they reached the outer wall of the structure. It was made of a material unlike anything on Earth, a dark, smooth substance that absorbed light and resisted all attempts at sampling. There must be a way in, Yunji insisted, examining the wall carefully. If the energy signature is coming from inside, there has to be... Before she could finish, a section of the wall seemed to dissolve, creating an opening. Lights activated inside the structure, illuminating a corridor that led deeper underground. The exploration team moved cautiously into the alien structure. The corridor led to a vast chamber filled with technology that hummed with quiet energy. At the center stood what appeared to be a control console, its surface covered in unfamiliar symbols. President Doyen Lee stared at the screens showing the Antarctic discovery. The room was silent as the implications sank in. Around the table sat Earth's top leaders, scientists and military commanders, all watching footage from the alien structure buried beneath the ice. "You're telling me this facility is millions of years old?" the president asked, breaking the silence. "And it was built to monitor humans specifically?" Yoonji Kang nodded. Her face showed the strain of working nonstop since the discovery. "Yes, Mr. President, the data archives are clear. The species that built this, they called themselves the progenitors. They were systematically eliminated by what would become the founding council races. But they knew this would happen," she continued. "They established monitoring stations on dozens of worlds, including Earth, and they did something else." She paused, searching for simple words to explain a complex idea. "They altered early humans, added genetic markers that would guide our development in specific ways. Are you saying we're some kind of weapon?" asked the Russian president, who had joined via secure video link. "Not exactly a weapon," Yoonji replied, "more like a failsafe. The progenitors knew that direct confrontation with the founding species would fail. So they created a long-term solution, species that would develop along unexpected paths, in ways the council couldn't predict or control." Dr. Sunwoo Han spoke up from her seat beside Ambassador Taiho. "This matches what we've learned about council behavior. They systematically limit technological development among member species, keeping them below a certain threshold. But humans have been developing in ways that bypass their normal control methods. Which is why they're sending a fleet to destroy us," President Lee concluded grimly. "Yes," Ambassador Taiho confirmed. His skin had paled from stress since his defection. "The council believes whatever is happening on Earth is too dangerous to allow. They won't risk the traditional assimilation process. The fleet will arrive in approximately 75 days. "What kind of force are we talking about?" asked Admiral Ji-hoon Park, Earth's highest-ranking military officer. 17 capital ships, one from each council species plus support vessels, Taiho replied. "Each capital ship carries weapons capable of sterilizing a planet's surface. Humanity has nothing that can stand against such force, at least nothing I know of." All eyes turned to Yoonji. "The Antarctic facility contains technology far beyond even the Council's understanding," she said carefully. "We've only begun to scratch the surface of what's there, but we found something that might help us. Blueprints for a device that could transmit a specific energy pattern across the galaxy." "A weapon?" Admiral Park asked. "Not directly. The signal would activate dormant technologies on thousands of worlds, technologies left by the progenitors before they were wiped out. These devices would reveal the Council's true history and deceptions to all member species simultaneously. So instead of fighting the Council directly, we expose their lies," President Lee said, understanding dawning on his face. "Exactly," Yoonji nodded. "But building the transmission device will take time, and we'll need access to the Council's central communication hub to maximize its effect." "That's on the Council homeworld," Taiho said, his voice filled with doubt. "The most heavily guarded planet in the galaxy." "Then we need a plan," President Lee decided. "A way to delay the fleet while we build this device and get access to their communications network." He stood, addressing the room. "As of now, Earth is under imminent threat. I'm declaring a global emergency. All nations must work together if humanity is to survive." No one objected. For the first time in human history, all countries united completely against an external threat. Over the next few days, the Antarctic facility became the center of humanity's resistance. Scientists from around the world gathered there, working to understand and adapt the ancient technology. The structure extended far deeper than initially thought, with vast chambers filled with equipment, data archives, and machinery that hummed with quiet power. "The progenitors built this place as a time capsule," Yoonji explained to Dr. Han as they explored a newly discovered section. "They knew their civilization would fall, so they preserved their knowledge here, waiting for humans to reach the right developmental stage to find it. And the energy signature that attracted the Council's attention, a beacon that activated when we reached a certain technological threshold. It was meant to alert us to the facility's existence, but it alerted the Council too. They stopped before a massive spherical chamber. Inside, teams of engineers were constructing what looked like a large antenna array based on the progenitor blueprints. Will it work? Dr. Han asked, watching the construction. The theory is sound, Yunji replied, but we've never built anything like this before. And even if it works perfectly, we still need to access the Council's communication hub. That problem was being addressed in another part of the world. Ambassador Jiu Park, now serving as Earth's official representative to the Council, was preparing for a dangerous mission. She stood in a training facility, practicing with a team of Earth's best operatives. The diplomatic mission will be our cover, she explained as they reviewed holographic maps of the Council homeworld. I'll request a final meeting to negotiate terms of surrender. Once on the planet, we'll need to infiltrate the central communication facility and synchronize it with our device in Antarctica. Won't they be suspicious? Asked one of her team members. Absolutely, Jiu replied, but they'll expect a final desperate plea, not a coordinated attack. Their arrogance is our advantage. Meanwhile, Admiral Park was gathering Earth's modest space forces. Compared to the Council fleet, humanity's ships were primitive, but they had been enhanced with reverse-engineered technology from the Antarctic facility. We can't win a direct confrontation, the Admiral told his officers. But we don't need to win, we just need to buy time. Our ships have been fitted with gravity manipulation systems based on the progenitor designs. They'll allow us to execute maneuvers the Council won't expect. As preparations continued, President Lee addressed the people of Earth. Television and internet broadcasts carried his message to every corner of the planet. Citizens of Earth, he began, his face solemn, I must share with you the truth about our situation. The visitors who came to us offering membership in their Galactic Council are not what they appear to be. They have systematically oppressed developing civilizations for thousands of years, limiting their growth and eliminating any who threaten their dominance. He paused, letting the information sink in. Now they see humanity as a threat. We have confirmation that they have dispatched a fleet to attack Earth, expected to arrive in 2 months, but we are not helpless. We have discovered technology left for us by a species that foresaw this day, technology that gives us a fighting chance. The President's eyes hardened with determination. For the first time in our history, all nations of Earth stand united. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not allow our potential to be crushed. We are mobilizing every resource at our disposal to defend our planet and expose the truth about the Council to the galaxy. His speech sparked a global mobilization unlike anything in human history. Military forces consolidated under a joint command. Scientific research focused entirely on defense and understanding the progenitor technology. Industries retooled to produce needed components for the transmission device and ship upgrades. In Antarctica, Yunji made another critical discovery as she delved deeper into the progenitor archives. The genetic markers they placed in humans, she told Dr. Han excitedly. They're not just for guiding our development, they're keys. Keys to what? Dr. Han asked. To unlocking the full capabilities of their technology. That's why the console responded to my touch. The progenitors designed their systems to recognize and respond to their genetic signature, which we carry. This discovery accelerated their progress dramatically. Systems that had been dormant for millennia activated under human touch, providing access to more advanced technology and knowledge. Ambassador Taiho watched these developments with growing amazement. No wonder the Council fears humans, he told Dr. Han as they observed a test of the transmission device. You've accomplished in weeks what would take most species centuries. It's not just us, Dr. Han replied. We're standing on the shoulders of the progenitors. They planned this long before we existed. Taiho's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. Still, there's something unique about humans. You adapt faster than any species I've encountered. You see possibilities where others see only obstacles. As the countdown to the fleet's arrival continued, tension grew. The transmission device neared completion, but testing revealed a problem. The signal isn't strong enough, Yunji explained to President Lee during an emergency briefing. It will reach nearby systems, but not the entire galaxy as intended. Can it be fixed? The President asked. Yes, but we need a more powerful energy source. The progenitors designed the device to draw power from the planet's core, but establishing that connection will take time we don't have. What about the Council ships themselves? Suggested Admiral Park. Could we use their power systems? Yoonji considered this. Possibly. Their drive cores generate enormous energy. If we could capture one intact, that would require boarding a council vessel. The council fleet appeared at the edge of the solar system like a cluster of new stars, 17 capital ships, each larger than the largest human spacecraft, plus dozens of smaller vessels. They moved with perfect coordination, advancing steadily toward Earth. Admiral Ji-hoon Park watched from the bridge of his flagship, the UES Defender. Earth's combined space forces, just 37 combat-ready vessels, looked pathetically small in comparison. All ships report ready, Admiral, his communications officer announced. Defense satellites are armed and tracking. Good, the Admiral replied, his face showing no fear despite the impossible odds. Remember, we're not trying to win, just delay them. Every minute we buy is critical. On Earth, final preparations were underway. The transmission device in Antarctica hummed with power, its components glowing with a soft blue light. Yoonji Kang worked frantically to complete the calibrations, her fingers flying over the ancient controls. Power levels at 80%, she reported to President Lee, who monitored the operation from a secure bunker. We're ready to transmit, but we still need access to the Council's communication network to reach all their worlds simultaneously. Ambassador GU is prepared for her mission, the President replied. Once the Council fleet enters Earth orbit, we'll implement the diplomatic gambit. As they spoke, Ambassador GU Park stood before a mirror in her quarters, adjusting her formal diplomatic attire. She would soon transmit a message to the Council fleet, an offer of surrender, with a request for a formal ceremony on Earth soil. The success of their plan depended on her ability to convince the Council of Humanity's defeat. You're certain they'll accept? President Lee had asked during the final briefing. Yes, GU had replied confidently. The Council values symbolism. They want humanity to kneel before them, to acknowledge their superiority. They'll send representatives to accept our surrender in person. Now, as she prepared for the most important performance of her life, GU felt the weight of all humanity on her shoulders. If she failed, Earth would burn. The Council fleet continued its advance, now passing the orbit of Mars. Earth's long-range sensors detected energy, readings from their weapon systems, being prepared but not yet active. They're maintaining formation, reported Admiral Park's tactical officer. No sign they've detected our ambush units. Small groups of Earth vessels had hidden themselves among the outer planets and asteroids, using technology adapted from the progenitor facility to mask their presence. They would attack only if absolutely necessary, a last-ditch effort to buy more time. Ambassador GU stood before the transmission array, her image about to be broadcast to the approaching fleet. Ready when you are, Ambassador, said the communications technician. GU took a deep breath, then nodded. The camera light blinked on. Attention, Council fleet, she began, her voice steady despite the stakes. This is Ambassador GU Park of Earth. In light of your overwhelming force, and to prevent unnecessary loss of life, Earth is prepared to surrender unconditionally. She paused, letting the words hang in space. We request that representatives of the Council come to our United Nations headquarters to accept our formal submission and discuss terms for Earth's integration into the Council. We will, of course, share all our technology as required and accept whatever oversight the Council deems necessary. The message was transmitted, and Earth held its collective breath. Minutes passed as the signal reached the fleet and they considered their response. Finally, a reply came through. High Counselor Minho's translucent face appeared on screens around the world. Ambassador Park, he said, his voice carrying a note of satisfaction. The Council acknowledges your wise decision. We will dispatch representatives to accept Earth's surrender. Prepare your facilities to receive our delegation in 6 hours. Any hostile action will result in immediate planetary bombardment. The transmission ended, and a tense silence filled the command center. They've taken the bait, President Lee said finally. Now we need to be ready for what comes next. Ambassador Taeho, who had watched the exchange with all 4 eyes focused intently on Minho's image, spoke up. They'll be suspicious. Minho isn't a fool. He'll send a heavily armed delegation, and the fleet will remain on high alert. That's why our space forces need to create a distraction, Admiral Park replied from his video link. When the delegation lands, we'll launch our attack on the fleet. Nothing serious enough to trigger bombardment, but enough to draw their attention away from Earth. In Antarctica, Yunji made final adjustments to the transmission device. The progenitor technology responded to her touch, interfaces adapting to her needs as if the ancient machines recognized her genetic connection to their creators. "It's ready," she told Dr. Han, who had been working alongside her for days without rest. "Once we have access to the Council's network, we can transmit the signal across the galaxy." "But there's something else. What is it?" Dr. Han asked, noting the concern in Yunji's voice. "The signal will activate dormant progenitor technology on thousands of worlds, yes, but it needs a focal point, a word or phrase that carries meaning, that will resonate with the genetic memory the progenitors embedded in various species." "What word?" Yunji pointed to symbols glowing on the ancient console. "According to this, the word is remember. When spoken by someone carrying the full progenitor genetic markers, someone like me, and transmitted through their network, it will trigger the dormant technologies." Dr. Han stared at her. "So all of this, the Antarctic facility, the transmission device, the mission to infiltrate the Council's communications, it all comes down to you saying a single word?" "Yes," Yunji replied simply. "One word to remind the galaxy of what was lost, of what the Council tried to erase." 6 hours later, a Council shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, landing at the designated site outside the United Nations headquarters in New York. Security was visible but not excessive, part of the illusion that Earth had genuinely surrendered. "High Counselor," Minho stepped out of the shuttle, followed by representatives from the other 16 Council species. They moved with the confidence of conquerors, certain of their victory. Meanwhile, in space, Admiral Park gave the order. "All ships, commence Operation Distraction." Earth's hidden vessels suddenly emerged from their concealment, launching attacks on the outer edges of the Council fleet. They fired weapons reverse-engineered from progenitor technology, not powerful enough to destroy the massive Council ships, but sufficient to confuse their sensors and communication systems. The Council fleet responded immediately, turning their attention to the unexpected threat. As predicted, they held back from planetary bombardment, not wanting to risk killing their own delegation on the surface. As planned, the distraction created a gap in the fleet's defensive screen. A small, fast ship slipped through, accelerating rapidly away from Earth. On board was Ambassador Jiyu and her team, on their way to the Council homeworld through a faster-than-light corridor provided by progenitor technology. On Earth, High Counselor Minho and his delegation were escorted into the United Nations building. Security scans revealed they were heavily armed, but this had been anticipated. "Welcome to Earth, High Counselor," President Lee greeted them in the General Assembly Hall. "We are prepared to discuss the terms of our surrender." Minho's thin lips curved in a smile. "There are no terms to discuss, President Lee. Earth will submit to Council authority completely. Your technology will be confiscated. Your people will accept oversight. Your military will be disbanded." Before President Lee could respond, an aide rushed in, whispering urgently in Minho's ear. The High Counselor's expression darkened. "Your ships are attacking our fleet," he said coldly. "This was a trap." "Not a trap," President Lee replied calmly. "A distraction. By now our real mission is well underway." Minho's pale skin flushed with anger. "What mission? What have you done?" "We've sent representatives to your homeworld," President Lee said, "to access your central communications hub. You see, we've discovered the truth about the Council, about what you did to the progenitors, and what you've been doing to other species for thousands of years." Minho's expression shifted from anger to shock. "The progenitors? That's impossible. They were eliminated millennia ago." "Not entirely," President Lee replied. "They left something behind. Knowledge, technology, and a genetic legacy in us." In space, the battle continued. Earth ships executed impossible maneuvers, using gravity manipulation technology to change direction instantly, confusing the Council's targeting systems. They couldn't win, but they were buying precious time. "Admiral, we're taking heavy losses," reported the Defender's first officer. 3 ships destroyed, 7 critically damaged. Admiral Park nodded grimly. "Hold position as long as possible. Every minute counts on the Council homeworld." Jiyu's ship emerged from faster-than-light travel in a blaze of energy that temporarily blinded the planet's defensive sensors. Using the momentary confusion, They landed at the central governmental complex, their ship disguised as a routine diplomatic courier. Security is heavy, Jiu told her team as they prepared to disembark. But most forces will be focused on the main council chamber. Our target is the communication hub 3 levels below. They moved quickly through the complex using identification codes provided by Taiho to bypass security checkpoints. The word remember echoed across the stars, carried through the council's own communication network. On thousands of worlds, buried progenitor technologies activated simultaneously. Holographic projections appeared in public spaces, government buildings, and private homes throughout council territory. They showed images of the past, the true history of the galaxy, unfiltered by council propaganda. Species that had been council members for centuries watched in shock as the projections revealed how the 3 founding races had systematically eliminated the progenitors, then manipulated and controlled developing civilizations ever since. They saw evidence of sabotage against worlds that grew too advanced, of assassinations and manufactured disasters used to maintain the Council's power hierarchy. In the Council fleet orbiting Earth, ship captains and crew witnessed these revelations on their own communication systems. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Some captains immediately ordered their vessels to power down weapons. Others declared neutrality, refusing to follow further orders from Council leadership. A few even opened communication channels with Earth, pledging support against the Founders' deception. On the Council homeworld, chaos erupted as the projections appeared in the Grand Council chamber itself. Representatives from the 14 non-founding species turned on their former leaders, demanding explanations for millennia of lies. Ambassador Jiu and her team, their mission accomplished, fought their way back to their ship through the confusion. As they lifted off, heading back to Earth, Jiu watched through the viewport as the ordered society of the Council capital dissolved into protest and upheaval. It worked, she reported to Earth. The entire Council system is in disarray. Their fleet is fragmenting. Some ships are turning back, others are standing down. In New York, High Counselor Minho watched in horror as his communicator showed the unfolding rebellion. His pale skin had turned almost white with shock and rage. "Do you understand what you've done?" he hissed at President Lee. "You've destroyed 10,000 years of order and stability. Without the Council, the galaxy will descend into chaos." "No," President Lee replied calmly. "We've ended 10,000 years of lies and oppression. What happens next will be decided by all species together as equals." Minho's personal shield flickered and died as the Council ships in orbit lost cohesion, their coordinated energy network failing. Earth security forces quickly moved in, taking him and the other Council representatives into custody. In space, Admiral Park watched in amazement as the Council fleet broke formation. Ships were moving away from Earth, some returning to their home systems, others simply drifting as their crews argued about what to do. "Stand down to defensive posture," he ordered his remaining ships. "Monitor Council vessel movements but take no aggressive action." The Admiral's tactical officer looked up from her console. "Sir, we're receiving communications from several Council ships. They're apologizing, saying they didn't know the truth, asking to open diplomatic relations directly with Earth." Admiral Park allowed himself a small smile. "Inform them that Earth welcomes peaceful contact with all species. Direct their communications to the diplomatic corps." In Antarctica, Yunji watched as data flowed through the ancient progenitor systems. The signal had worked even better than expected. Not only had it activated the hidden technologies, but it had also awakened dormant genetic memories in many Council species, memories that had been suppressed by the Founders over thousands of years. "The response is overwhelming," she told Dr. Han, who stood beside her. "Many of the Council species are discovering that they too carry progenitor genetic markers. They're related to us, distant cousins engineered for different environments and purposes. So the progenitors created a diverse family of species," Dr. Han said thoughtfully, "all designed to eventually challenge the Council's dominance. Yes, but humanity was different. We were their last creation, the one they invested the most hope in. While other species received specific traits, we got something else: adaptability, creativity, and a connection to their technology that the Council couldn't detect or understand. Within days, the Galactic Council, as it had existed for 10,000 years, collapsed entirely. The 3 founding species retreated to their core systems, their millennia-long deception exposed. They activated ancient defensive systems, preparing for the retribution they expected, but that retribution never came. Instead, representatives from the 14 other former Council species approached Earth with a proposal, a new alliance. Not a controlling council, but a collaborative federation based on mutual respect and shared advancement. 1 month after humanity's one-word reply to the Council, the first meeting of this new federation took place in the Antarctic facility. The progenitor structure, hidden for thousands of years, now served as neutral ground where species could meet as equals. President Lee opened the historic gathering. Welcome to Earth, and to this ancient place that has transformed our understanding of the galaxy. We stand at a crossroads. The old council has fallen, but something new must take its place. Not built on lies and control, but on cooperation and respect for each species' unique path. Representatives from 17 worlds listened as he continued. Earth offers the knowledge contained in this facility as our gift to this new federation. The progenitors left it for all of us, their descendants scattered across the stars. Let us use it wisely to build the future they hoped for but never lived to see. Admiral Ji-hoon Park, now serving as Earth's representative to the Federation, found himself in the strange position of working alongside captains who had been his enemies just weeks before. Together, they began creating a new interstellar defense framework, one designed to protect member worlds without controlling them. It's strange, a former council captain told him during one planning session. For my entire career, I believed we were protecting less developed species, guiding them toward a better future. I never questioned why certain technologies were restricted, why some research paths were forbidden. That's how control works best, Admiral Park replied, when people believe it's for their own good. Taiho, who had risked everything to warn humanity, found a home on Earth. His knowledge of council technology proved invaluable as humans worked to integrate different systems and approaches. Working alongside Yoonji and Dr. Han, he helped create new technologies that neither civilization could have achieved alone. I still can't believe how quickly everything changed, he told Yoonji one day as they examined a new propulsion system that combined council and progenitor principles. 10,000 years of council rule ended by a single word. Not just any word, Yoonji replied. And not just the word itself, but what it represents. The truth that was buried, the connections between species that were severed, the potential that was suppressed. Still, why that particular word? Why remember? Because forgetting was the Council's greatest weapon, Yoonji explained. They made species forget their origins, their connections to each other. They rewrote history, erased the progenitors from galactic memory, convinced everyone that they were the natural leaders of the galaxy. Deep beneath Antarctica, President Lee and Ambassador Jiu established a new research center, dedicated to understanding humanity's connection to the ancient progenitors. The first artifacts they discovered suggested this wasn't the first time the cycle of oppression and liberation had played out in the galaxy. Look at this, Jiu said, showing President Lee a star map she had found in the deepest archives. It shows progenitor outposts in other galaxies, not just the Milky Way. They were more widespread than we thought. You think this has happened before? The progenitors challenging other controlling powers? The records suggest a pattern. Advanced civilizations tend to either stagnate or become controlling. The progenitors developed a different approach, seeding diverse species that would evolve along different paths, ensuring that no single development pattern would dominate. As Earth took its place in the new Federation, humanity faced a galaxy suddenly much larger and more complex than they had imagined. Trading relationships formed with former Council worlds. Cultural exchanges began. Scientific cooperation accelerated technological development across multiple species. 6 months after the word, remember, had changed the galaxy, a fleet of ships bearing the new Federation symbol, a spiral galaxy with 17 stars representing the member species, prepared to depart Earth orbit. Their mission, to explore regions of space the Council had declared off-limits, to find other forgotten progenitor outposts, and perhaps to discover other intelligent species that had developed beyond Council awareness. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the lead ship, now named Unity. Beside him stood representatives from 3 other species, all working together as equals. Course laid in, Admiral, reported his first officer. All ships report ready for departure. Thank you, he replied. Then addressing all ships in the fleet, this mission represents everything we've fought for. The freedom to explore, to learn, to grow without artificial limitations. We go not as conquerors, not as controllers, but as explorers and potential friends to whatever civilizations we may find. The fleet accelerated away from Earth, carrying with them the lesson humanity had taught the stars.